Looters raid and steal from a gas station, Compton, California. The scenes you witness here were captured at an Arco gas station near Alondra Boulevard. The man in front with ski masks and handles the break-in, smashing the glass with something heavy to make way for the teaming group standing behind him, waiting for the door to give way. A lot of these looters appear to be wearing masks, and it makes you wonder whether this was pre-planned. Dozens of these looters rush into the gas station store immediately after the door gives way. They're said to have stolen goods worth thousands of dollars from the store and proceeded to cause damage that will cost even more to repair. According to the reports, the store clerk was in the store when this looting took place. She hid in the bathroom and stayed hidden until the looters completed their evil business. Alleged kidnapping stopped by a gas station clerk, Philadelphia. This is the greatest hero style story you'll see today, and I promise it'll scare you to the bones. The two people walking across the screen look pretty commonplace, like regular people making their way into a gas station store, but the woman in front is a hostage for the tall man walking behind her. The suspect plays it cool and goes ahead to wave at the clerk as they walk into the store. Watch their body language and you'll get a whiff that all is not right. Don't worry so much if you're unable to see the signs. It's not that easy to notice. The clerk at this gas station sees all the signs, and what he does next will blow your mind. He keeps a close eye on the two as the suspect buys cigarettes with the victim's credit card. We can't say when the clerk noticed that something was off between the two, but he didn't say anything to the woman. Instead, he comes to the door just as the suspect had stepped out with the woman following, ready to step out of the store. He pulls her back in, then puts himself between the suspect and the woman. Look closely and you'll see the moment he confronts the suspect and how quickly the suspect reached into his jacket like he was going to pull out a weapon. The clerk returns quickly to the store and the suspect makes off with the woman's car. The clerk continues with his kindness, giving the woman some water to drink to calm her spirits. Police will catch up with the suspect and discover something shocking. He had carjacked the woman in the video and forced her to withdraw money from ATMs in the area before they got to this gas station store. Trapped in store after stealing. They call him the Gatorade Man for his penchant for stealing the energy drink. For so long this man's been stealing from this store. He walks in, stuffs his bag with the things he need, and walks out without paying. You can see him walk in casually and walk right out without words. Remember that cliche about every other day belonging to the thief until one day? That day came for the Gatorade Man. He walked in and as always he grabbed everything he needed off the shelf, then proceeded to make his way out of the store, but the clerk notices him and pressed a button to lock the door. Watch his fury when he notices that he's been locked in. He screams, kicks, pulls, and does everything to open the door. When everything fails, he rushes back, drops everything he'd stolen, and begs to be let out while still kicking the door until the glass falls out and he sneaks off. Quickfire explosion at a gas station. The young man on the screen stops at a gas station like we all do and grabs the nozzle to fill his tank. It's a simple everyday task for car owners, and since it's a cold day, he gets into his car to get away from the cold while his tank is filled. Everything seems fine until his tank is filled and he steps out to pull the nozzle out of the tank.
Not even a brief minute, you know what I'm saying, and listened to the radio and then turned around, opened the door, got right back out, leaned up against the car, grabbed the gas nozzle, and then that was just like that.
The moment he picks the nozzle out of the car, a fire breaks out immediately, out of nowhere. The store manager is fast. She notices the fire and hits the emergency stop button that stops all gas being pumped, keeping the fire to the car alone.
Well, we were working, it was a Sunday night, things were kind of slow, and I was back in the kitchen cooking, and I had a guy here that wanted some food, and I made him a sandwich, and then I can see something reflecting off the side of my glasses. And then I looked over out the window, and you could see flames just shooting up to the canopy. So immediately I just turned around, hit the red emergency stop button.
The young man only manages to escape being burnt by the whiskers as he tears off to safety. Firefighters put out the fire and concluded that the small explosion was caused by static electricity. We're just glad it was limited to the car alone and didn't escalate further. Bear steals candy from a gas station store. What would you do when you're confronted by a 500-pound bear? I'd probably leave, as most people would. Watch the man on screen stand in front of a 500-pound bear. For a moment he stands his ground, trying to shoo the bear out of the store since it's only had its head in the store.
I was on my way to go change the outside trash, and I was walking towards our automatic door, and it opened. And then I seen him try to come in, so I stepped towards him, and then he comes into the store, kind of lunges at me.
You see how terrified he is when the bear roars, forcing the man to jump back into fear, leaving the bear to take whatever it wants. Here's the weird thing. The bear simply walks in, grabs a bag of Snickers, and walks off. Its calm situation forced the store worker to call animal control, but when they got there, the bear still finds some time to grab a box of candy before walking leisurely out of the store. Man trashes store, Houston. We don't know why or who might have provoked the man in the video into this act of vandalism. We can guess that he's not entirely in his right mind from his sing-song voice and the dance moves he puts on. He simply goes on a trashing spree, pushing goods off the counter, yelling at cops, and throwing a tantrum like a 4-year-old.
Calm down. No!
The police quickly take him into custody, preventing further damage and saving us all from seeing more of his god-awful moves. Gas station goes poof. China. The first people to see and hear the sounds of this devastation thought an earthquake was taking place. Some would think that they were watching lava. Such is the magnitude of the damage, the sound, and the fiery nature of the fire, which began at a gas station and rippled through the area. At first, you see the flames as it picks up and almost dies down. Seconds later, the whole screen goes bright.
Whoa! Oh! What the?
The fire bursting into a powerful explosion that reminds you of the nuclear bomb dropped at Nagasaki and Hiroshima. The dark smoke that's plunged into the sky looks a lot like mushroom clouds, and the tongues of the fire licking upward, reaching for more. Watching this, you realize that it would take firefighters so much to contain this fire. Honest confession, I've never seen anything this scary in all my days.
Oh my god! Oh dear!
Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming!
Wow! Wow! I think we are dead.
Let's go! Let's go down! Let's go!
Let's go! Take the stairs!
Come on!
A flying car. Some of the craziest accidents I've seen have occurred at gas stations. The moment you see this car hurtling into the air, you imagine the worst as it seems to be practically flying to the doom of the driver in the vehicle. To see the whole thing clearly, keep your eyes on the road and watch the white car as it swerves, avoiding oncoming traffic, hitting the curb, and flying into the air before smashing right into the gas station. She smacked into the sign before coming to rest beside the gas pump. I admit I didn't expect the driver to survive that flight, but she did, stepping out of the car and looking merely disoriented. They say that she'd been driving under the influence, and watching this, everyone else would agree that she had one too much to drink. The police will later charge her for a DUI after she receives treatment at a nearby hospital. Gas pump explosion, Alexandria, Louisiana. Many warnings are being shared constantly about the static electricity and the danger of explosions at gas stations, but sometimes it seems the danger just hangs around, waiting to engulf you at the slightest opportunity. The older man in the video simply wanted to fill his tank with gas, but suddenly what we see are flames. He did the first thing that came to his mind, pulling the nozzle out of the tank, but that's where it all went wrong. The fire spread quickly, forcing the man to run away, putting a distance between himself and the flames. No one can tell how the first flames started, but you can see them burst onto the surface, seemingly out of nowhere. The fire eats up the car, growing with each frame you see. Firefighters soon arrive to kill the flames and restore some calm, but the truck is already chewed to the bones with the tires and much more eaten up by the flames. Carjacker steals woman's car, New York. This 42-year-old woman is standing like everyone else, filling her car at this gas station, but what she doesn't know is that the white car that just stopped on her blind side had passengers with ulterior motives. You can see the white Porsche stop by the left of the woman's SUV. Before this, thieves had scouted the area, and the surveillance camera shows their car cruising aimlessly around. The passenger of the car simply stepped out, bending low to sneak into the woman's SUV, which is still running, and driving off. The woman who'd had her hand on the car was dragged a little into the road, but she's lucky to survive with minor injuries. The thieves couldn't get very far with the car. They were soon forced to dump it a little distance from the gas station, but they made away with the woman's purse and laptop. The clerk shows he's gangster too, Florida. When this robber walks into this store bearing a weapon, he certainly thought it would be an easy ride. No one would dare stand against an armed robber, but what he didn't take into account is the clerk working at this gas station store.
I don't mean no harm. I'm just not from around here.
Well, you got any member?
I got a big gun, but I'm not from around here is what I'm saying. I'm from Chicago, bro.
He says he's not from around here. Apparently he's from Chicago. The clerk had seen him early enough and had quickly armed himself for the exchange.
I see you. What's that?
When the suspect on camera sees what he's up against, he does the smart thing and walks away, but the police have been alerted and they quickly take him into custody. Thief armed with a meat cleaver and a dog. Newcastle. Watch this unusual thieving crew made up of a man and a Staffordshire Terrier. They walk into this gas station store at closing time, ready to clear out the books. The man's weapon of choice is a meat cleaver, and he threatens the clerk with that weapon while demanding to have his little pink bag filled with cash. The victim had no reason to argue. He simply complies, filling the bag up and handing it back to the thief.
He will hit me with the meat cleaver knife if I don't do it hurry.
You can see the unusual band of robbers running off after taking $250 from the cashier and bagging cigarettes worth $1,000. Car chase and an explosion, Florida. This car chase took place about 27 years ago, but it remains one of the scariest car chases ever caught on camera.
Saying that it was a vehicle headed south on 15 North into the town of Sumter, running vehicles off the road.
The man in the car is said to be going through a psychotic episode when he gets on the road, driving crazily, weaving through traffic, and avoiding the police through the long chase. Thus far, he's evaded every attempt they've made to try and stop him. They continue the chase, but it's getting more dangerous as it develops. At a short distance, they'll come up to a daycare center, and if it allows to continue, this car chase might bring harm to the children, and the officers knew they must stop the driver before he gets to the kids. They ram into his car from the side, pushing him into the gas station just before the school. The moment the car hits a gas pump, fire erupts. Any sane person would bolt out of the car immediately after the fire started, but this man didn't do that. The officers were forced to give his car another nudge from behind. The moment he's clear of the fire, he tried to run off again, but the police were ready for him now. Driver hurtles into a gas station. The speed of this car as it rides through the street will tell you that something's wrong. It's going way too fast, and danger certainly lies ahead for the driver and anything in its path, and only moments later, a crazy, scary crash occurs. The car plunges into a gas station, smashing itself against a gas pump with parts of the car flying in different directions. Your thoughts as you watch the debris from the car fly about is the safety of the occupants. With an impact like that, you'd think nobody could survive that hit, but the individual manages to crawl out of the car. The owner of the station is left to pick up the pieces of their lives with some very serious damage done to the pumping machine.
It was very scary. The first thing that I thought was about the safety of the passenger that was in the car. And then after that was thinking about my business. What am I going to do today?
If you've watched this far, why don't you consider subscribing to the channel? We post 2 new spooky videos every week, keeping you informed of the dangers going on in the world. If you like this video, we have plenty more where that came from, and you won't want to miss a single one. Teenage robbers, Annerley, Australia. From their appearance, you immediately know that these are kids. Armed with machetes and bats, these young people roam a store, smashing things and stealing off the counter quickly. They were all clad in black with hoods and with their faces covered in a mask. You'll see customers quickly step out of the way immediately after the boys run into the store. These customers are scared, and you can see why. They're said to have stolen money and drugs from the store. You wonder what type of drugs they stole and what they plan to do with the drugs.